group from Animal Defenders International arrives in Webb City to protest the Tarzan Zerbini Circus. Missouri Southern graduates take place in a special graduation ceremony. The latest on the coronavirus now that the CDC has given the green light to fully vaccinated Americans to go maskless in most places.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, the circus is back in Webb City, but not everyone is excited about it. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Chris Warner. Well, lots of people lined up to check the Tarzan Zerbini Circus out. Some animal rights activists are opposed to the circus having these animals. Now, animal rights activists protested outside the event to try to spread their message to circus goers. One activist says he wants people to think about it from the animals' perspective.
People to see what is behind the scenes of circuses and just look at the animals from their perspective. You know, we have grown up in a society where animals are seen as property, food, and commodities first.
Now, in response to the protest, the circus ringleader says the belief that the animals are harmed or treated poorly in any way is a misconception. We'll have more on what both sides are saying tonight at 10. One man is dead following a 3-vehicle crash in Newton County Friday. Now, the accident happened just after 4 Friday afternoon on Highway 43, 5 miles north of Seneca. According to the Missouri Highway Patrol, one car had stopped to make a left turn when a car driven by 55-year-old William Brown of Wyandotte rear-ended the stopped car. Brown's car then crossed the center line and hit another vehicle. Brown was pronounced dead on the scene. The 2 other drivers were not seriously injured. Kind of a dreary, cloudy day today, Nick. Are we going to see sunshine, or is this kind of the trend?
This is unfortunately a trend that will stick us for a while, Chris. Stick with us, rather. But at least we were getting a bit of a break in the rain chances to start the afternoon. But the latest scan on the Skywatch Storm Tracker shows I'm seeing a couple of showers and a couple of thunderstorms south of Milnet, south of US 60, and a few more trying to pop up in northeastern Oklahoma. So again, it was nice to get a break in the action after the morning rounds of rain. We'll have to deal with scattered storms again tonight, but all the action in terms of severe weather, that is going to stay well to the west of us as we go through the evening and the overnight ahead of us. As far as temperatures go, we're trying to bounce back into the mid to upper 60s, definitely lower 70s in our western counties, but eventually we are going to have a mild evening and a mild night. Around Joplin, we'll keep steady with temperatures in the 60s. Most of us will eventually drop back near 61. And unfortunately, Chris, we have many rain chances in the forecast. We'll see if that'll give us any wiggle room to warm up over the course of the week ahead here in just a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Well, Missouri Southern State University hosted its 76th commencement ceremony today. And because of the pandemic, it still wasn't a traditional graduation, but students still got to walk in a different way. The university hosted a walkthrough ceremony with special video presentations and well wishes from the faculty and staff displayed along the way.
I liked the in and out in 15 minutes. It was nice not have to sit through 2-3 hours of all the names being listed off. So it was a good format, I thought. So.
A professional photographer was also on hand to record the moment as students were awarded their degrees. Well, at least 18 states say they're lifting mask mandates after the CDC's announcement that fully vaccinated Americans can be maskless in most places. Now, businesses and other public places are considering their next move, given the challenge of knowing who's been vaccinated and who hasn't. CBS News correspondent Michael George has more from New York.
Unmasked.
For many people around the U.S., the masks are coming off.
I'm done with wearing a mask. For me, I've been vaccinated, fully vaccinated. I've had COVID.
The CDC issued new guidelines this week saying people fully vaccinated against COVID-19 can go without masks outdoors and most indoor places. Exceptions include planes, public transport, healthcare facilities, prisons, and homeless shelters. Starbucks says it's going to make face coverings optional for vaccinated customers starting Monday.
This Boise, Idaho cafe is leaving the decision in customers' hands.
I think what we're going to do is suggest that people still wear masks, but still follow city mandates.
Jerry Kelly, visiting Washington, D.C. with her husband, says she's wary.
I'm vaccinated. I'm just concerned that the next person, how honest are they going to be?
As COVID restrictions are relaxed nationwide, this Six Flags in Massachusetts is open after more than a year, a long time in the eyes of a child.
We feel really happy, like we had really good memories at this place.
I pronounce you husband and wife, Mario.
And couples like Mario and Jessica Gamez are finally going ahead with their wedding celebrations.
We couldn't be happier. We're so glad to finally be married.
We waited like over a year. Yes. I mean, it was just a long wait.
The Southern California bride and groom rescheduled their big day twice because of the pandemic. Michael George, CBS News.
Well, nearly half of Americans have received at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose, while more than a third are fully vaccinated. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Billy Carter served in the Navy from 1969 to 1970, his hometown, Chanute. And we are proud to recognize Billy Carter, tonight's four-state hero. And remember, to learn more about other heroes or to nominate one of your own, just log on to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And that is a look at our top stories and a quick check of that forecast on the KOAM News at 6. Still ahead, we'll take a look back at the top medical stories of the past week and the latest as violence continues to erupt between Israel and Gaza. Medications may not be the best way to treat insomnia, and a major step in returning to life without masks. Elise Preston has some of the week's top health stories.
Fully vaccinated people are allowed to stop wearing masks outdoors in crowds and in most indoor settings. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The latest guidance still calls for wearing masks in crowded indoor settings like buses, planes, and hospitals. About 120 million people are fully vaccinated in the U.S. Long-term use of prescription medications for insomnia does not appear to help middle-aged women get better quality sleep. U.S. researchers looked at nearly 700 women over 2 years and found no difference in sleep quality or amount of sleep between women who took medications and those who didn't. And for children with recurrent ear infections, a study finds no long-term benefit to having tubes surgically placed in the eardrum. Research in the New England Journal of Medicine says using oral antibiotics is just as effective and avoids the risks of anesthesia and surgery. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
An Israeli airstrike on Saturday targeted and destroyed a high-rise building in Gaza City that housed offices of the Associated Press and other media outlets. AP staffers and other tenants safely evacuated the building after the military telephoned a warning that the strike was imminent within an hour. 3 heavy missiles struck the 12-story building, collapsing it in a giant cloud of dust. For 15 years, the AP's top-floor office and roof terrace were a prime location for covering Israel's conflicts with Gaza's Hamas rulers, including wars in 2009 and 2014. The news agency's camera offered 24-hour live shots as militants' rockets arched toward Israel, and Israeli airstrikes hammered the city and its surrounding area this week. The building also housed the offices of Qatari-run Al Jazeera TV, as well as residential apartments. Reporter Imtiaz Tiab has more on the situation as the violence continues to escalate.
Israel's air and ground assault on Gaza continues with a ferocity unlike anything seen before. Overnight, several areas of the densely populated Palestinian territory, home to 2 million people, were pounded in strikes, wreaking havoc. This father clutches the lifeless body of his child, screaming, "What has this baby ever done?" Across Gaza, and more horror as the death toll surges to nearly 140, including 39 children. While in Israel, another night of incoming Hamas rocket fire. So far, 9 Israelis have been killed, including a 5-year-old. Governments around the world are pushing hard for a ceasefire. Mark Regev, a senior advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, says there's no chance.
We think a premature cessation of hostilities only plays into Hamas's strategy.
So you have refused?
We are not ready for a ceasefire that allows Hamas time to regroup, rest, and then to attack us again tomorrow or next week.
In East Jerusalem, where this all began, a night of intense confrontations between Palestinian protesters and Israeli forces. While in the occupied West Bank, similar scenes as hundreds of Palestinians took to the streets against Israel's provocations in Jerusalem and its assault on Gaza. On Friday alone, 10 Palestinian protesters were killed in the clashes with Israeli soldiers. It's hard to imagine there's a potentially more serious crisis unfolding in the background of all this unrest. But across Israel, in mixed Arab and Jewish cities, there's been several nights of horrific communal violence.
Well, still ahead, a 9-year-old takes a wild ride at the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport.
Plus, we have plenty of rain chances lined up for the next several days. Forecast up next. We did stay warm once again today, but a little bit cooler compared to how we fared on Friday as our weekend got started. You can see how we topped out at least in the lower 70s for yesterday afternoon, but with all the clouds and the rain and some thunderstorms this morning, we dropped off a little bit, mid-50s this morning, but we only made it back into the mid-60s for this afternoon. At least we were able to get a break in the action after we had an overnight round and early morning round of rain and thunderstorms, and as advertised, the storms that fired up out in western Kansas the other night did not pose a severe threat whatsoever, but it did bring at least half an inch of rain on average. Some got more than others, but we are going to have more rain chances, unfortunately, throughout a good portion of the extended forecast period. But after we've had a relatively calmer afternoon, we can take a quick tour on the radar network. We do notice a couple thunderstorms trying to develop between Ponca City and Bartlesville in Osage County, but as you pan toward the west, actually, we're going to try that again here. Let's pan back over into southwestern Missouri because we do have one shower east of Pineville, east of 49 in McDonald County, and more prevalent storms around Table Rock Lake. But we're going to have a chance for more storms as we go through the overnight. In the meantime, we're quiet here at the station, 67 in Joplin, east breeze at 9, humidity quite high at 76%. Where we did see the cloud cover break apart, we do have 74 in Independence, 72 in Fredonia, mid to upper 60s along the 69 and 49 corridors, and then still barely close to 60 in our far eastern counties. But it's going to be mild for much of the area this evening despite rain chances on the increase again. We'll ultimately see overnight lows drop back to 61 as we wait for our next round of thunderstorms. What's going to be developing right on top of our stationary front, that will be the focal point for our thunderstorm chances. Any severe weather out on the front range, that is going to stay away from us. But upstairs, as long as that stationary front sticks around and this upper low still comes into play, we're going to continue with thunderstorm chances, but fortunately a very low severe threat with our thunderstorm chances for tonight as we take you through 10 o'clock into Sunday morning and as we go into Sunday afternoon, where we could get a bit of a break in the action around lunchtime. Then we'll see some more scattered storms during the afternoon. I anticipate that with some dry time, we should do a little better with temperatures. 61 in the morning, 72 by noon, highs around 75 with that south wind to 5 to 15. We should see some scattered storms to start Sunday evening out, but I think we'll be dry to start Monday morning out before we see some additional thunderstorms fire up for Monday afternoon. And as far as rain amounts, some can pick up as little as 1/10 of an inch, but where the storms get going, maybe an inch, maybe an inch and a half. But this setup does not change very much. With this slow upper low meandering across the Rockies and the Central Plains, we'll hold on to thunderstorms for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And even as this lifts away, this system in the northwest will continue to keep thunderstorms in the forecast, unfortunately, as we head toward the end of next week. And that does include the 22nd. As well as when we get past the 22nd, sticking with Doug's pattern, we'll see our severe chances really start to ramp up on that following week. But 75 tomorrow, 76 Monday, 77 on Tuesday. So overall, Chris, despite all these thunderstorm chances lining up, at least temperatures are staying pretty warm as we get near 80 by the end of next week.
As I say, the temperatures are a bit more seasonal, but boy, this rain could really cause some problems for folks over the next several days.
Yeah, something we need to keep a close eye on.
And of course, you mentioned, maybe even some stronger storms down the road. So
we'll keep an eye on those as well.
Active week ahead. Nick, thank you so much. Well, coming up in sports, Crowder Baseball competes for the Region 16 Tournament Championship. Plus, Pittsburgh State plays a must-win game against Washburn in the quarterfinal round of the MIAA tournament. Danny Terzer's got those highlights next.
Pittsburgh State's postseason is on the line today. The Gorillas fell to Washburn in Game 1, 5-3. PSU needs a win today to survive and force a Game 3. In the first, Caleb Carr, back up the middle, scores Garrett McGowan and Dawson Pomeroy. 3 runs off 4 hits for the Gorillas in inning 1. Washburn battles back. Zion Bowlin finds the gap in right center. 2 score, and that'll erase PSU's lead. It's a tie game. Gorillas respond though. Carr to right for a single, and Aaron Gertis comes home to put them back on top. Then Grayson Pinkett with the chopper to the third baseman. Enough to drive in Pomeroy. PSU with a 5-3 lead. Pittsburgh State gets the job done. They take Game 2 of the series 8-5.
They weren't ready to go home. You know, it's a good baseball team over there. We think we're a good baseball team, and we got to find a way to win 9 innings tomorrow. We'd rather not be here, but we are, and we got to find a way to win tomorrow. That's the only thing that matters. You know, we've been here since August working hard together, and we want to find a way to get to Joplin.
Missouri Southern in a better spot heading into Game 2. The Lions topped Central Oklahoma 5-3 on Friday. Today, they have a chance to win the series and advance to the Final Four. Top of the second, Zach Freeman with the fly out to center. And that brings home Garrett Takamatsu. Broncos lead by 1. Bottom of the inning, Henry Kuziak with the solo homer over the left fence. Game tied at 1. Third inning now. This one out to center. Clay Milas there with the diving catch. Then in the top of the 6th, Takamatsu, same way to center. That brings home Kyle Crowell, extends the UCO lead to 2. Southern isn't able to mount the comeback. They drop Game 2, 4-1. More postseason baseball. Crowder is playing in the Region 16 tournament championship game today. The Rough Riders cruised by Jefferson 10-2 on Friday to earn their spot in the title game. Crowder faces Jefferson again today, looking for a repeat outcome. Second inning, Bryce Miller gets it through. Joe Hamilton goes for home. It's going to be close. He's safe, makes it 1-0 Vikings. Next inning, Jack Stroth for the Rough Riders. Out of the park solo homer for Stroth to tie it up. Then Peyton Holt into the second baseman for the out, but Clayton Gray scores. Still going, Gavin Glasgow up to the first baseline. Logan Chambers slides in home. Rough Riders up 3-1. Crowder gets by Jefferson 4-2. They are the Region 16 champions. That's it for sports. We've got more news after this.
A 9-year-old boy you see here taking a ride on a conveyor belt at the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport baggage system. He thought it was a good place to go for some body surfing. There you see him doing that body surfing. Disappeared into the system. He seemed to enjoy the ride until he got to the X-ray machine. The machine swallowed him up, and then he's seen trying to get out of that thing. And eventually, the airport workers managed to find him, and they got him back safely to his parents. Certainly a ride of a lifetime. Thankfully, we don't have anything for us to get lost on here, but we've got a ride of a lifetime with this forecast.
Yeah, with a stubborn setup for the entire week ahead of us, Chris, we're going to have thunderstorm chances each and every day. Not all day washouts, so any dry time that we have will get us near 75 tomorrow, then mid-70s to about 80. We'll have to settle with those numbers for highs throughout much of the week.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. That's our time for now. Next news time is at 9 over on Fox 14. We'll be back at 10 on KOAM. Until then, latest news, weather, and sports always on at KOAMNewsNow.com or with the KOAM News Now app. Thanks for making us part of your night.